The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. I would like to thank you all for joining us for the CPC Plus 2018 Guide webinar. My name is Umara Rashid and I'm the Marketing Manager at Persevere. Today we'll be talking about the changes in the CPC Plus program in the year 2018. Just a little housekeeping, I would like to say that if you have any questions, just type in your question in the question box on the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll bring them up towards the end of the presentation. And our panelist and presenter will take care of them. Now let's turn the time over to Zaima Ahmed, our presenter today. She's a product owner of the CPC Plus program at Persevere, and she'll take you through what she has to talk about the CPC Plus program today. So here you go.
Thank you, Amara. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. My name is Zaima, and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar. During this webinar, you will learn about the changes to the Comprehensive Primary Care Plus. Here is the agenda for today's webinar. First, we will provide an overview of MACRA and CPC Plus. Next, we will go over the payment components in both tracks. After discussing the payment components, we will highlight the eCQM updates and care delivery updates. Finally, we will go over the health IT requirements practices must adopt by the end of the year. CPC Plus is an advanced alternative payment model which is defined under the Medicare and CHIP Reauthorization Act of 2015. MACRA redefined the way CMS intends to pay for and deliver care through Medicare with a quality payment program. QPP replaced the previous quality programs such as PQRS and Meaningful Use. I'm sure you already know what CPC Plus is. It is America's largest ever initiative to transform primary care, and it includes 18 regions such as Hawaii, Michigan, and New York. It's also a partnership of CMS and private insurers, and the program offers 2 tracks with varying care delivery requirements. The program also rewards practices on value and quality by offering an innovative payment structure. The payment structure has 3 components that you will receive as a participant in the program. So the first component is the care management fee, which is paid on a quarterly basis to both tracks. It is paid from the Medicare Trust Fund, and it is based on the risk stratification and non-face-to-face outreach to patients. Then we have the performance-based incentive payment, which is based on 2 distinct components. We have the quality component, and then we have the cost or utilization component. The quality component is based on meeting the thresholds for at least 9 of the 19 eCQMs for this year, and the cost payments are based on keeping the patients out of the hospitals and ER. And then we have the hybrid payment. The hybrid payment is a combination of the CPCP paired with reduced fee for service, and it is only paid to Track 2 practices. Now let's take a look at the payment breakdown in both tracks. Track 2 generally receives more payment because of the advanced care and health IT capabilities that they are required to meet. We can also see that the average CMF Track 1 receives is $15, while Track 2 receives nearly double the amount, with an additional $100 to support patients with complex needs, and these patients are patients with dementia. For PBIP, we already know that we receive 50% from quality and the other 50% from utilization. So under Track 1, we have $1.25 per beneficiary per month from the quality and from the utilization, which gives us a total of $2.50 per beneficiary per month. And the total PBIP for Track 2 is $4. As for the hybrid payment in Track 2, practices can select a percentage they want to receive as CPCP. So, for example, if you choose a CPCP of 25% payment, 25% payment for build evaluation and management services will be 75% of the usual amount you are paid. So now let's take a look at how we can keep the full PBIP. For the reporting period 2018, CMS has increased the number of eCQMs from 14 to 19 measures. This set now includes 7 new measures, while 2 measures have been retired. The 2 measures that have been retired are controlling high blood pressure, use of imaging studies for low back pain, and depression remission at 12 months. Actually, controlling high blood pressure and diabetes HbA1c are the 2 outcome mandatory measures that are necessary for reporting for this program year. Practices must also successfully report 9 measures for this period. And CPC Plus has used the 2017 MIPS benchmarks for program year 2017 and 2018. So the benchmarks and measure thresholds remain the same. Now, in order to keep the full amount of PBIP, practices must achieve the 30th percentile or above on on all 9 measures and the 70th percentile on 6 eCQMs. And if your practice's performance is between the minimum and maximum threshold on 9 of the eCQMs, then you will qualify for partial PBIP. If your practice does not meet the annual benchmarks, CMS will recoup some or all of the PBIP. Okay, moving on to care delivery. So to receive the care management fee, practices need to support 5 of the care delivery functions. And these are access and continuity, care management, this is a very critical one, comprehensiveness and coordination, patient and caregiver engagement, planned care, and population health. We'll now dive straight into the care delivery updates for 2018. Right, so the first new requirement on our list is measure continuity of care. Continuity of care means that the patient should be able to build long, trusting relationships with their practitioner. So to measure this relationship, the relationship between the practitioner and patient, this is a key capability that we need to develop this year. Next, we have the alternative care methods. Alternative care methods are different in the sense that they offer other opportunities to provide medical care. These are reimbursable services, In our platform, we offer secure messaging and e-visits, so you can make inbound calls, outbound calls through the portal. And we also have 24/7 access with patients. Right, two-step risk stratification. This is actually a very critical part for practices. For the two-step process, you must produce a risk score and flag patients for care management based on the score. The risk stratification must also be sensitive to other factors such as homelessness or food insecurity. And our platform not only provides the CMS HCC score, but we also calculate a Persevere HCC for all patients, and we also allow care team members to come in and adjust that risk score based on their perception. Because risk stratification is tracked regularly, practices do need to attest during quarterly reporting, and they must keep a record in case of an audit. Advanced care planning. So this is a process of discussing and documenting patients' goals and preferences for medical care. Any patients that are undergoing care management or who have multiple chronic conditions and fall in a high risk category require care plan, as well as all other patients that are in panel to you also require a care plan. Here's another important requirement. Collaborative care agreements. The purpose is to build stronger relationships between the patient, the practitioners, and the specialists. The agreements should be documents that can be accessed by any of those, by the practitioners and staff. And these documents can include types of referral, consultation, it can include the core data set. Finally, we have the Patient and Family Advisory Council. These should be carried out at least quarterly for the program year 2. And you should also try to integrate the recommendations into the care. You can, however, meet up as often as you would like. You might even choose to meet more frequently for a period of time and then go back to quarterly meetings. There are no required topics that you must cover in these meetings, but your practice should develop an agenda which is based on issues that you and your patient advisors want to address in your practice. And please note that for audit purposes and to retain all of the CMF, practices do need to keep documentation to demonstrate that they have met the CPC Plus delivery requirements. So for example, practices are required to retain a copy of signed collaborative agreements and all patient and family advisory council meeting minutes. You should also keep documentation and a record of the care plans, risk stratification information on all patients, quality performance reports, and any other evidence that is sufficient to enable an audit. Now let's take a look at the changes to the health IT requirements. These are necessary to support the care delivery in your practice. So the baseline cert requirement is for all practices in both tracks. CPC will require the adoption of the 2015 edition SQL filter capability for eCQMs. Also, the B9 care plan that needs to be integrated, as well as the social, behavioral, and psychological data capabilities no later than December the 31st of this year. Again, CMS will review whether practices are meeting the health IT requirements, and practices that do not meet the requirements are sent courtesy notices so they can begin remediation. I think that's all we have for now. I think we can now use the remaining time to answer your questions.
All right. Thank you, Zaima. We'll go ahead and take some questions now. Just a reminder, you can still type in your questions into the control panel, into the question box in your control panel. Okay, so looks like we have a couple of questions here already. All right, Savima. So the first question for you is the care plan required for all patients?
Thank you, Amara. Yes, you will, practices do need to provide a care plan for all patients. And Persevia can actually automatically generate a care plan based on the patient's medical record. And these include the most recent updates that are made by the care manager. And it also includes the patient's preferences and concerns. So yes, it is a requirement for all patients.
All right, thank you. So the next question is from Jeannie, and the question is, what's the price of your portal?
Okay,
Yeah.
we will get, so
I guess we can
I'll get back.
yeah,
Yes,
we can
I'll get back to
email you the details. Yeah, we'll get back to you on emails, I guess. We'll send her the details. That works,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
fine.
Perfect. She says thank you. All right. The next question is, can you please explain how the two-step risk stratification process works?
Yes, sure. So the two-step risk stratification, how it works is, so our solution, we use a Soliton artificial intelligence engine, which calculates the first step, and that is to calculate the patient's clinical diagnosis. What we do is we get the patient's clinical criteria from the patient's medical record. We look into the problem list, we look into the encounters in the lab, and then we also allow the physician to come in and update those based on the perception. That's the second step to the two-step risk stratification. So the first is what we generate in our system, and second, we also allow them to come in and edit that score.
All right. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any more questions. I think we have covered all of the questions for now. Is there anything else you would like to cover before I wrap up, Zaima?
Yeah, sure. I would just like to add that the key is really to start early in tracking and monitoring the measures, and really focus on a robust technology solution that supports the care delivery requirements. That really will set you on the right path and help you become a high-performing practice. And I think that wraps up our presentation for today. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Zaima.
Amar.
Yeah, thank you, Zaima, and thank you, everyone else. We appreciate you being here today, and you'll receive a follow-up email from us that will contain the webinar recording and slides for you. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.